What up, hey, what up, yo? What up, hey, what up, yo? What up, hey, what up, yo? What up, hey, what up, yo?
What up, though, Phil G's? Welcome back to Luke G's Field Review. We are live, and I got some stuff for you today. I got to thinking, how can I do something different, yet be able to show the people what I see? And the answer was so simple that it was literally in my face. And therefore, I come with the following. We're going to investigate General Manager of the Detroit Lions, Bob Quinn. Now, y'all may be thinking to yourselves, Luke, why would you investigate Bob Quinn? I mean, of all the things you can investigate, why are you investigating them? Well, I'm going to attempt to show you who the Detroit Lions are going to select with their first pick based on all the evidence. In a sense, this is similar to a first 48 Discovery ID investigation where you take all the information, all the suspects, and you narrow it down to who is the pick at first. But as always, people, I got to do my house mail. Now, we got Troxel Sports Talk in the building. We got Dre Burns. We got the Baby Suflex. We got Tone of Voice. We got the Gridiron Blitz himself, Derrick P. Fields. We got Sag Nasty. We got Triggered Easily. We got Sincere to You. We got Dapping Zoom, or no, that's DMAP Zoom. My apologies. We got Skin Bino. Move this out the way. Come on, get out there. There we go. All right. We got Sean Parker. We got D. Williams. We got David Roberts. To all the people who are in the chat with me, what up, though? I'm about to do a nice deep dive on this thing right here. We got Dakota Dips. What up, though? We got Sweetbread. What up, though? All right. So here's how this is going to work, people. I have spent a lot of time trying to figure out how I want to do this. And originally, I was going to do a breakdown of Bob Quinn's press conference. That was the original plan. Okay. But then there was so many breakdowns of Bob Quinn's press conference. I said, well, it's not really needed in realistically. And how can I push it to the next level? We got Mars is landing in the building. What up, though? Sonia OG. I hope I said that right. What up, though? D the Legend. I like that name. What up, though? Now, here's what I got to do, people. All right. I am almost sure that I figured out exactly who the first pick is going to be. In fact, I figured out that who the trade partner going to be based on a number of clues that I figured out. And I have also figured out that the list of suspects is smaller than we may think. Okay. And the reason I am doing that is because with any good investigation, you must have what? A suspect, a person of interest. Now, this is going to be a little interactive, so bear with me. All right, let me make sure I got that squared away. All right, now, as you can see, I am on the Bob Quinn on evaluating the Lions season. And you may say, Luke, why are you this far back? The answer is very simple because he told us so many things in there. So let's start off with our list of suspects. For our first suspect, we got TJ Hockenson. For our second suspect, we got Irv Smith Jr. For our third, we got Noah Fant. For our fourth, we got Jawan Taylor. For our fifth, we got Johan Williams. For our sixth, we got Josh Ellens. We got Brian Burns for our seventh. Ed Oliver for the eighth. Devin Bush and Devin White. Andre Dillard. Byron Murphy. Montez Sweat. Yes, I'm gonna get through the punches. I'm gonna just go. I'm gonna get through it. DeAndre Baker, Greedy Williams, and Colleen Farrell and Cody Ford. Now, I got my suspects, people. All right. And now I'm going to tell you the one deciding factor, and that is the Jacksonville Jaguars. They could be a deciding factor. And as it stands right now, the Jacksonville Jaguars need an edge rusher, an offensive tackle, a quarterback, and a tight end. Now, let's get to the first clue, people. In the first clue, all right, that we discovered, it starts right here. And what this general manager is going to say in terms of Matthew Stafford is going to be the first glimpse into what he's thinking. So let's let the man talk for a minute, people. All right. All right. Now let's just stop right there for a second. Okay. Here's the thing. He starts off by saying that, yeah, Matthew Stafford is our quarterback, and we need to do our best job of putting him in a better situation, starting with himself. And now the question becomes, why does he start off with that? Why does he start off with him being our quarterback? Oh, it says no sound. That's crazy. Okay, so I got to do something different. Hold on. I got to do something different. Hold on, people. We're going to fix it. Let me see if I can use this. Hold on. We're going to fix it. Where is it? How do I do this? All right, let me stop the sharing so I can fix it. Hold on. Because I want to be able to make sure that we're getting all of the info that led me to this little experiment. Now let's see. All right, let's see if this worked. Is that working, people? Can you hear it now? Or is it still no? If you cannot hear it, just let me know. Because I may have to switch this a little bit different. I may still go through the process, but oh man, that freaking sucks. Technology, boy, it will fail you every time you need it. I swear. Every time you think that you got it, it will fail you. All right, so we're gonna have to switch it up a little bit. Hold on. This is how we're gonna do this. All right, and then how would I do? Let's see, get this go like this. All right. All right. All right. Now, let me go back. Please work. Let me know if this worked now. All right. Can anybody hear that? Still no. That's crazy. All right. Well, I'm going to have to do this a little different. So I guess I'm going to have to treat this a little bit different and tell you what the question was. So for the first clue that we get, the first thing that pops up is they asked him in this evaluation of this video, and what I'll do is I'll let it play so that way hopefully it records. And if you want to go back and hear the actual sound, I don't know why it's acting up like this, but I promise you I'm going to explain it all to you. So the first question they asked him was, about Matthew Stafford. He said Matthew Stafford's our quarterback, and that we have to do a good job of building a team around him and giving him the things that he needs. Now, the first thing about that is telling is because as he's talking, he says he wants to make sure that he can allow Matthew Stafford to use his skill set. Okay. And what he wants to do is he wants to be able to make sure everything is working. All right. Now, with that being said, all right, people, it's the little things that he jumped into right here. And what he's going to say is talking about the run game. Okay. First clue, run game focus. There we go. We're going to surround them. Now, it is at clue number 2 that I happen to get more in detail with it, which brings me here. Okay. And what brings me here is this. Okay. On this particular clue right here, he talks about what the team needs. I'm going to basically tell you what he said. I'm going to let it play and reverb it back to you. And keep in mind, the question that the reporter asked him was, what do you think the team needs are? And he made it very clear that we need more playmakers on both sides of the ball. He says that we need to be more consistency. And then what happens is he talks about, again, the running game. Now, I wish I could make this stuff up, but he's talking about the run game again. Okay. Now, here's the thing. As he's talking about this run game, he happens to slip up and talk about a tight end. This was not asked to him, people. This was not asked to him. No one asked him about a tight end, but he somehow used a tight end for the example. And when we get all the way down to this time mark right here, which is 17:30. All right, we're going to get it right here. All right. The question now comes in about the tight end. And the question was asked, what else do they need to improve? Is tight end a hole that you need to improve? And what he says caught my attention because I'm like, okay, you know, we have not brought this up. Now, at this point, he says, back in March, we talked to every free agent tight end that was on the market. That's what he said. He said, we went after every tight end and trade option that we could. We thought we had a deal set for, we thought he had a deal set for Rob Gronkowski. It didn't fall through. There were some people who got paid high contracts and didn't do anything. And then I said, okay, he clearly wanted a tight end really bad. Like, it was clear to me at that point. Which brings me to the next clue, the 5th clue, when the reporter asked him a simple question about what is he looking for in an offensive coordinator. Now, what he said truly got my attention. And what that was he said that he wants a coordinator who's adaptive, who understands that we, know how to run the ball. But he also said that he wants a coordinator who can put together a game plan to work on what we build on from last season, which was run the ball. So now we know that they are run the ball centric. We know that they are looking at the tight end position hard, but there's still some other suspects, people. Now, here's where it gets very interesting because this is where it all started. But as I go ahead and play this clip, okay, because he's going to talk about that. Matter of fact, I'm going to skip to the next clue because I don't even got to play this clip. I'm going to skip to the next clue. The next clue was after he explained to him what he wants in an offensive coordinator, the question was then asked, how involved is Matt Patricia in the player personnel? And he responded with, the one thing I do not want to do is give players to a coach that he did not ask for. And that him and Matt Patricia work closely on being able to do this. And that's for they'll get players that they want. So when I got that clue, I said, interesting. And guess what example he used in terms of talking about giving a player that they want? If I gave him a tight end, what? What? Nobody asked you about the tight end again. It's almost like this. Now, the one thing I'm going to have you do is I want to have you to truly pay attention to what's called body language 101. Because as we go through these clues, I'm going to have to jump to another clue. After they asked him about Matt Patricia, they then turned around, okay, and asked him, you know, you never had a top 10 pick before. Does this changes anything in the draft? And what did he say? No. And then he hits us with our best quote of the day. With all due respect, I can't pay attention to what the fans say. If a tight end is there and he's on our board, we're taking him. If it's a receiver, if it's an offensive line. So now we got more suspects. We got tight end as one, but now we got receiver added in there. He added offensive line in there. I mean, just giving you clue at the clue. Now, in his next interview that he give, I did a breakdown on this video where I said Bob Quinn is trading this pick and that he's going to do something a little bit different. And what we find out is that not only does Bob Quinn trade the pick. Oh, you know what? I know how I'm gonna do this. I know how I'm gonna get this sound to work because I'm doing both things at the same time. Okay, so now we're gonna have it where Bob Quinn trades this pick, and here's the thing that jumped out to me immediately. In this particular video that I'm bringing up now, this is the video that I use. We're talking about Bob Quinn saying that he was going to trade the pick. Now, let me switch this a little bit. And let me see if I can do this a little bit different. There's more than one way to skin a cat, people, and I believe I have found the solution to my problem. All right. Now, let me just move this right here back because I really want y'all to hear this. Now, we are right here. So I got to go to the 49-second mark on this one. All right. 49-second mark. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm literally am going to present the case for who I think he's talking about. Now, here we go. Bob Quinn, please tell me if y'all can hear this. All right. Okay. Why did the sound not come? There we go. There we go. All right.
Infinity Studio today. Now we're at a point in the offseason where this time last year, Matt Patricia.
Can y'all hear that, people?
All the events that we have, and then getting ready for the Senior Bowl coming up next week.
All right, next.
All right. Now we getting somewhere, people. All right. We getting somewhere. All right. Now.
Next week.
All right, next.
All right. Now. All right. Now we getting somewhere, people. All right. All right. Here we go now, people. It's finna get interesting. So it's right here at this point that I realized what Bob Quinn was saying. And I think what made it stand out to me was that he talks about the Senior Bowl. I want you to listen to what he say about the Senior Bowl, people.
Up for you guys is the Senior Bowl. Why is that event important to your staff?
Yeah, it's a great event that's down in Mobile, Alabama every year. It's it's really hard for coaches or GMs to go see every college prospect during the college season. It's impossible. We see a lot of them on film, and our scouts are around the country.
Now, that clue right there is very important, and I'm going to tell you why. He says it's really impossible for all of us to go and see every single player that's out there. It's not possible. But there is a way you can do it. Like, say, going to Buffalo to claim that you're looking at a tight end. But then you think about how many prospects do Buffalo really have? And when I checked, the Buffalo had 6 prospects. Funny enough, they spoke to 5 of them, all of them except for one Khalil Hodge, which I have yet to see any report that they spoke to. That's a very good clue, people, because we know that in the 5 people that they spoke to, one was a quarterback, but we clearly know that they're not taking a quarterback in the 5th. I mean, when they're not taking the quarterback in the first with the 8th overall pick, they talk to a DN and a wide receiver. We know that they're not doing that. Again, we have our list of suspects, but what happens next? Okay, what happens next is the thing that stands out to me the most, where he says, if we stay there. So now the option becomes, what if they do a trade down, which got me to my next point. Now, Bob Quinn made it clear in that video that if we stay there, then and only then will we do it. So now we go over to Bob Quinn at the scouting combine. And this one gave us more.
What kind of world do you want
answers into what we're going to see, okay? And in this video, okay, as it's switching over people, and I hate that I have to do it this way, but hey, I'm going to make this thing work because I have literally figured this out. In this video, okay, in this video, the very first thing that I noticed was I want you to pay attention to Bob Quinn's facial expressions. That's all I want you to do. When Bob Quinn is telling the truth about something, he literally stares the person who asked the question down. If he's lying, he looks away completely. So we're going to go right here to the 49-second mark. Right here. All right. Let's mute that for a second. All right. And the reason I wanted to leave right there, because I want you to focus on this man's face. Look at this smirk and this smile that he has on his face, people. Doesn't he look like the guy who you know took your bag of potato chips, but he just gonna lie about it? Don't he got that I stole your potato chips look on his face? Okay. Now, stay with me. All right. Gonna lie about it. All right. Stay with me. What you're going to start to see is this. All right. Oh, you know what? I didn't even think about that. Hold on. I was just told that if I use the Yeti, it should work. But I don't know if it'll work. Are you sure about that, Derrick? You know? All right, so here we go. Here he is talking about with our next clue, which is at the combine. At the combine. This is him at the combine discussing this in detail. And what he says is, how important is the football IQ, personality, and versatility? Let's talk about it, Bob.
Huge. Yeah. We're trying to get guys that are, versatile players that are going to have to learn more than one position. So, it really starts in the fall when our scouts go out to the schools. They talk to their coaches, they talk to the support staff, they try to gather as much information as possible. Really, then we get into this time of year when, I can talk to them, coaches can talk to the players. We really delve into the questions that the scouts still have because, the scouts are really the first wave, and then we come in January, February, March into April, and we kind of clean up some of the questions that they might still have outstanding. Because
now he says we're trying to get players that have versatility because they're going to have to play more than one position. So now we go to our list, and right now we know that on that list is Devin Bush, who plays simply linebacker. He is completely eliminated from this list simply by the virtue that he does not play more than just linebacker. Oh, all right, there go our first suspect off. All right. But then it gets even more interesting because we still have a few more suspects that, in my opinion, can still fit the mold, but probably can come off because they can't play multiple positions. But nonetheless, the first person we can take off that list is Devin Bush. So for those people who are Michigan fans and was truly hoping that we get it, I have sad news for you. They are not, okay? He does not fit the mode of being interchangeable from multiple positions, okay? Now, right here, they're going to ask him some questions pertaining to the tight end position again. All right. And in the tight end position, what they're going to do is ask him the following question. You know, what are your thoughts on the tight end and what are you looking for? Let's let the man talk for a second.
No, if there's a player that's worthy of the 8th overall pick and he happens to be a tight end, then I'm not against that. So it's kind of a little bit early in the process to say, you know, who that player may or may not be. But I don't have any guidelines that I've ever developed over my years in scouting that say you can't take a player at this position at that number. Like, I don't think that way. Everything's an individual kind of basis, individual scenario each year, depending on where you're drafting and what your needs are.
Now, here's the thing. The key term that he used in all these videos, every single time that I watched it, was need. Need, best player available for need. All right. All right. And then on top of talking about the best player available for need, another thing, and get this. Now, according to Risky Football Talk, he says, "Shut up, Luke. It's a smoke screen. Devin Bush to the Lions at 8." Oh, God. Yes, the screen is frozen for a reason because I want them to focus on his facial expressions. So, yes, you will see the screen is frozen for right now. Now, all right, so now here we go. Now I'm reading comments too, people. I mean, it's so much coming in here. So yes, I got it. I got it frozen, but yes, I am playing the sound. I just want you to look at the facial expression for right now. That's why the screen is frozen. So don't be alarmed. Just trying to give you the clues. Now at 5:09, all right, 5:09, he's getting asked a question about the fans. And he also gets asked questions about the quarterback, and he's saying that yeah, if it's a quarterback there I'm willing to take, I would take it. But in the 5:09, where he says that the fans, you know, he's doing his best to build his team the right way, and he's not going to focus on the fans' needs and want. It brings me to this very single point for the best clue in this video, and it's talking about draft depth. Here we go.
I would say, you know, I think there was 45 or 50 additional juniors. Don't quote me on that number, but there was a large number more juniors that declared for the draft than even last year. So I'd say the middle rounds and kind of the core of the draft has a lot of more depth that I'd say in the last year or two. So, you know, this positions is the offensive line has good depth. I think receiver.
Well, okay, people. All right. The middle of the draft has good depth. And when I went through and I gave you the list of people that they visit, a lot of those players that they visit with were where? In the middle of the draft. And on top of that, he said there's good depth at offensive line throughout this draft, and especially in the middle of the draft. So now we got to go through our process and say, what do they really need? Okay. So right now, we know that Jawan Taylor's a suspect. Johan Williams is a suspect. We know that Andre Diller's a suspect. But here's the thing. In all this conversation, he not once mentioned a defensive lineman at all. In fact, in one of his videos, he says that when the question was asking him about what's more important, production or, production or what happens at the combine, he says, I'm not changing my board because a person ran fast. So right there, Montez Sweat is eliminated, people. Flat out, downright out, eliminated. And then on top of that, Colin Farrell is eliminated. Why? Because he says that we're taking the best available player. Now, here's another thing I noticed in here. Everything he talks about has to do with two things: running the ball, making sure that Stafford stays upright. And on top of doing all that, he's also making sure that in that process, that he is able to build upon what? The run, which is what he said, not me, himself. And then he goes on into having the question about the tight end again. I do not know why they keep coming at him with these tight end questions, but at 9, I want to say it was 9:27. Yeah, there we go. 9:27, they asked him the question. Right here. So here we go.
You know, it's a position that I'll say this, in college football, a lot of the times the tight ends are flexed out in the slot. There's only certain amount of offenses in college football that I would say are pro style. Most of them are spread 4 wide or 3 wide with the tight end displaced. So, you know, you get into evaluating guys, you're like, wow, he's a good receiving tight end, right? But can he block?
Right there, people. He's a good receiving tight end, but can he block? And just like that, Noah Fant is off the suspects list. It's not saying that Noah Fant can't block. It's saying that Noah Fant is not known for blocking. So we know that Irv Smith has the ability to block. We know TJ Hockenson can block. We certainly know this. But his question is they have to be able to do more than just be a good receiving tight end. They have to be able to block. So now we have eliminated Colleen Farrell off the list. We have eliminated Montez Sweat. We have eliminated Devin Bush. We have eliminated Noah Fant. Okay. Now let's let the man finish telling us what he thinks about the tight end.
Go through all his film and you're like, well, you know, there's only 60 plays of him with his hand in the 3-point stance blocking a defensive end. So the sample size of watching collegiate tight ends block is really, you know, depending, except for a couple of schools, there's not much there. So maybe that's part of it. That's something that we obviously, you know, spend a lot of time at because, you know, the tight end position is versatile. You're going to have to go run route. You're going to run routes, pass protect, which is crucial, right? Because sometimes you're going to have the running back, you know, out in the route, and you have to lead the tight end in the block, and then you have to block in the run game. You know, we made a commitment to the run game last year with Carry-On, and, you know, I think the tight end position kind of marries up with that to be able to secure the edge of the defense.
And right there, people, he says it clearly. The tight end need to be able to do what? Pass block. What's that? Run block, run routes. Okay. On top of running routes, he says that tight end needs to also be able to secure the edge. And just like that, people, Irv Smith has been eliminated. We have eliminated Irv Smith. Okay. Now, what is very interesting about this is in all these interviews, not one time did he talk about the linebacker position. What he said is, and I quote, he says that the linebacker position itself, he said that, yeah, we want to upgrade it, but I feel confident about it with the players we have there. And then he talks about the depth in another video, particularly this one where he talks about the linebacker depth position. But I just want to give you the facts. Now, I am not still sold that it is TJ Hockenson. I am not, because even though we are getting towards the idea of the tight end, it could still be a smokescreen at best, okay? Which brings me to this clue right here at about, I want to say 11:57. That's where we at. Okay. Now, let me see. Let me go back a little bit. All right.
And had a good, second.
So right here, the question was talking about the use of Kerryon Johnson in terms of, is he going to get a lot of carries or not? Watch what he say about Kerryon Johnson and focus on what his attention is to.
Half of the season for us. So that's not a word I use, but I always think that the more depth you have at the running back position, the better chance you're going to be able to run the ball later in the season. So.
Now, the reason I wanted you to hear that little insert is because he simply is talking about being able to run the ball better at the end of the season. I have been saying this for the longest. I brought this to the attention of the Gridiron Blitz, Derrick Field, which gives me a perfect segue into please support the Detroit Sports Alliance. We have a number of members. We have the Gridiron Blitz with Derrick P. Fields. We have Noble Sports Entertainment. We have MicroMike. We have Troxel Sports Talk. We have risky football talk, and then we have myself, Luke G's field review. Now, it was at this moment that I started getting big into what was coming next, and that was the pre-draft press conference. And in the pre-draft press conference, he said a whole lot. I mean, he talked about evaluating close to 1,800 players. He talked about the goal was to get players who are ready to come in and improve the team and build it the right way. He talked about the draft and how it's well-rounded. But what I loved about the one thing that he said in this pre-draft press conference was the following as it pertains to our next clue for as it pertains to our next clue. So that came at 3:50, I want to say. All right. So right here, oh God, this computer sometimes I'm going to totally invest in me a new computer because I need it. All right. So right about, let me get up. Come on now, people. Give me that right there. We're just going to start right there. All right. Now, he is saying right here emphatically, all right. All right. Now, at this 350 mark, okay, he's going to talk about the draft and how well-rounded the draft is. He's going to talk about how some positions are deeper than others and how the draft has more junior players and the evaluation process being difficult at times. But what he does the most is he gives you a glimpse to how they're approaching it, because at one point in the video, he talks about a lot of juniors getting bad information saying that they're going to be taken high and they're not. And off of that, I can eliminate a number of players who are juniors just off of that alone. So let's get it.
Some positions are deeper than others. This was a record year in terms of juniors being granted eligibility. So I think there's about 45 additional juniors compared to last year. So put a little extra strain on our staff trying to get information on those guys in January when their names were released. But I feel like we're in a good spot with all those juniors, and just adds the crop of players, because ultimately the juniors come out, they're usually the better players. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way, but it just creates a little bit more volume, I'd say, at some positions that you have to kind of weed through and kind of finalize when you kind of get to the final meetings before the draft. Looking to improve our team in all facets, whether it's offense, defense, special teams. Really the final kind of piece of the puzzle when we're going through it is really, how much special teams value does this player have? Because ultimately.
Now let's start right there, people. We got more people to take off this list of suspects, because how much special team value do these players have? And we still have the following names on the list. We still have TJ Hawkinson. We still have Joanne Taylor. And then we still have Johan Williams. We still have Josh Allen. We still have Brian Burns. We still have Ed Oliver. We still have Devin White, Andre Dillard, Byron Murphy, DeAndre Baker, Greedy Williams, and Cody Ford. Now, stay with me. We can eliminate Greedy Williams right now because the head coach has said many times that he's looking for players to be able to tackle at every level. And if you can't tackle, he's not even interested in you. So right there, we took Greedy Williams off the board, and now we're narrowing this thing down. But watch what he says after this right here. Just peep this out.
In the later rounds, say the 4th through 7th and the rookie free agents, that's really how guys end up sticking on the team.
In the later rounds, 4th through 7th. And all the people he's visit are slated to be drafted where? In rounds 3 through 7. Interesting. Okay. So right off the bat, he's already talked about previously that there's depth at the offensive line, and that from 4 through 7, there's a great deal of depth there. And where do we come to in terms of eliminating our next person? The answer is going to shock you, because now we're going to get into a part of the process where he is now going to talk about what's the word I want to use? I want to make sure I use the appropriate word for this. He's going to talk about being interested in defensive players. And what he say about the defensive players is going to grab your attention. Let's listen in, people.
I'd say there's a lot of defensive players in this draft that might not fit the exact model of the size, speed for each position. But I think when you watch their film, they're really good players. They might just be a little small for their respective positions. But this game nowadays in the NFL, it's a third down game. It's a sub game where nickel defense 75% of the time. So some of these guys that are a little bit smaller, you kind of have to kind of step away and say, what can they do on third down and what they can do on nickel defense since we're in it in so much. So
again, he's already saying that he's looking for people who is playing what? All three downs, all right? And it's all the defense, all three downs that can be out there on nickel. All right, well, let's see who come off this list now, because the question becomes, can you be out there all three downs and play in a nickel? Well, who comes off the board now? That's right, people, because he talked about them being small for their size, but playing all three downs, and right there, Ed Oliver is off the board, just like that. Now, you may be saying, Luke, he could play all three downs. What do you mean? You're crazy. You're going out of your mind. But the truth is this. The term is all three downs within a nickel set, which means that you're going to have to set the edge while still being able to penetrate, while still being versatile. Keep that in mind, while being versatile, and which means that you're going to need to be able to drop out of your 3-point stands in the coverage, maybe do a quarterback spy, something to that effect. And if you don't have that type of versatility, you are eliminated. That's exactly what I just did. I eliminated somebody who didn't fit that bill. Now, we know Josh Allen could still slide to us, and he's a very good chance that he could. But let's let Mr. Bob Quinn tell you about these defensive players.
I think it's an important thing to kind of always try to evolve as the league evolves. 15, 20 years ago, everybody in the league had a fullback. Now only 8 or 10 teams do. So every year, every group of years, things change within the league in sort of trends. So I think some of these players at different positions definitely have a role, and we spent a lot of time talking through those guys this year. So
now, people, I want to go to this next clue, because this clue right here is going to eliminate a whole lot of people. And what this clue does is this, all right? This clue literally they asked him a question about how many quarterbacks do he think is going to go, is going to go in this draft. The question was about quarterbacks. Listen to what he say.
Aiden, I'll tell you who I'm going to pick.
There's always talk about quarterbacks every year. This year, obviously, no exception.
Yep.
How many of those guys do you think will go in the first 7 picks, and how does what happens with those guys maybe impact what you guys, what's there for you guys?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I don't know how many are going to go. I mean, my guess is probably at least one. I think there probably could be 2. Haven't really dived into the team needs really in depth just yet. That's kind of like the next couple of days is kind of what you go into that, kind of study the other teams, go through the team needs book, and kind of really evaluate from 1 to even below us to say 20, and kind of put up on our board like, here, this is what we think their top 3 needs are, because it's really hard to predict just one need. So you kind of always put the top 3 up there so you can.
And here's where I go back to the team picking ahead of us and the Jacksonville Jaguar, and their top 3 needs are what? Edge rusher, offensive tackle, and tight end. Now, how can we eliminate or discern who they're going to select based on those top 3 needs? Well, it's simple. We know that they just gave a big contract to Nick Foles, and we know that they got Leonard Fournette. But how do you protect a quarterback first and foremost? You give him an offensive lineman. And with that, I can essentially eliminate people like Jawan Taylor. However, Cody Ford, Andre Dillard, and Johan Williams still remain, as well as Byron Murphy, DeAndre Baker, and TJ Hawkinson. All right, as you know, and Josh Ellis and Brian Burns. Now, Devin White is still up there, but again, as you can tell, he's looking for somebody who can play all 3 downs, and Devin White, I do believe, can play all 3 downs. But he also talks about this idea of versatility and tackling. And if you've seen my video on Devin White, you know that I know that Devin White is not the best tackler. So now I'm going to switch gears for a moment, and I'm going to show you what I mean in terms of breaking this code for him. Now, if they take Jawan Taylor, right, and that eliminates him from our spot, the question becomes, what gives me confident that that might be a good example of what's going on? Well, that example comes at this clue right here. We're talking about my clue 12, where he talks about switching positions for offensive linemen. Okay. And that comes at the 4:15 mark. Let's hear what he say about switching positions for offensive linemen.
I would say you really, in college football, in most colleges, there's more passing than running. So you really have to hone in on, like, when you're watching tape, you can sort it however you want to sort it and maybe pick all the run plays because there's usually only a quarter of them, right?
Let's put that focus right there. Again, all they ask him is, well, how do you evaluate switching a player from tackle to guard, from guard to tackle? How do you do this? And he says he puts all the focus on what? The run footage. Interesting, people. Very, very interesting, okay? And with that right there, I can essentially go through and do what? I can eliminate based on schools. He is known for picking Big Ten players and SEC school members in the first round. And just like that, I get a chance to go through and eliminate who? DeAndre Dillard. He's out of there. Boom. But because in all these different interviews, he has never once brought up the cornerback position, which is still could be a smoke screen, I'm going to eliminate all cornerbacks. So like that, Byron Murphy and DeAndre Baker are eliminated. Now, this is the scenario that I'm drawing up because I'm under the belief that not only are they not going to trade that pick unless they get something crazy, and given the fact that Seattle just picked up a first and a second and swapped a third for Frank Clark with the Kansas City Chiefs, I got to believe that eighth pick has had some serious, and I do mean serious, value to it. Now, on top of that, only people we have left at this point is Cody Ford, okay, Byron Burns, Josh Allen, Johan Williams, and TJ Hockenson. Our list is getting smaller and smaller, but let's let him keep talking about how you evaluate these offensive linemen.
Because the running game, the run blocking aspect of playing guard at this level is much different than run blocking playing tackle at the college level. So you really...
And just like that, off of that statement, we have to eliminate Johan Williams. I know it's a hard thing to hear, people, but these are just the facts, okay? You have to eliminate Johan Williams. And the reason you have to eliminate Johan Williams is because he said that playing the run as a tackle in college is different than playing the run as a guard in the NFL. And Johan Williams has been on record in saying that he does not want to play guard. He wants to play tackle. And on top of that, he came back and said, well, if I'm asked to play guard, I will. But who wants to have a player who really don't want to play that? Okay. All right. Who wants that player? And with that being said, it brings me to another great clue. And it's a clue that I enjoy a lot because he's not done talking about these linemen. But let's see. We are down to Cody Ford at this point, Brian Burns, Josh Allen, and we are to TJ Hockenson. Now, the reason we eliminate Allen is because, according to him, he looks at the top three needs for teams, and the top three needs for the Jets and the Raiders are edge rushers. So just like that, Josh Allen is out of there, leaving us with TJ Hockenson, Cody Ford, okay, and Brian Burns. Here we go. Talking about the linemen.
Have to look at, pad level, playing strength, determination, toughness, and you have to project a little bit. You have to say, listen, I see the knee bend, okay? I see the explosive. You see the workout they have with the assistant coaches at the pro days. Are they explosive? Can they come out of their hips? There's all those things that we look at to really try to project inside. There's a number of those guys this year that, you look at the measurables and they might be an inch short for tackle and their arms might be a little bit short. And now,
I'm just saying, people, That's why I eliminated Johan Williams. Why are you talking about people earn length? And those are the same things that they were saying about who? Johan Williams. Just saying.
Look at them and they kind of look like a guard, but they've never played guard, but they played tackle at a very high level.
And don't that still sound like Johan Williams? Boy, I'm telling you, man, Quinn be telling he the man when he walked through. Let's talk Quinn.
So it's someone, something that we've talked about, I'd say internally quite a bit this year. We actually brought up a name when I was in New England. I can't remember what year it was, the first couple of years, Matt Light from Purdue. He was a undersized tackle that a lot of people in the league kind of moved in and say, hey, he's going to be a great guard. We drafted him at left tackle in the second round, and he started for, 8, 9, 10 years.
Now, two things I want you to notice there. He mentions what school? Purdue. Where's Purdue? What conference is that? Big Ten. Oh, interesting. You got him in what round? The second round. They was projected him as a guard, but you took him as what? A tackle. Any event that they trade down, then those players who don't fit the mold of a guard would now be back on the table. But we're just talking about pick 8 right now, people. And right now, he's made it very clear that, he's not looking to fill that position. Why? Because he knows that he can get the depth in the middle rounds. Now, let's go to the last and final clue that's going to eliminate some people off the back. We find this clue at the 17-15 mark, people. And the question was, draft philosophy, need versus best player available.
The day I got here that the draft is a blend of need and best available.
The draft is a blend of need and best available. Okay, Quinn, talk to him.
I think this year, just looking at our situation right now with what the board looks like and what our, perceived needs are, probably a little bit more pushing towards the best available player.
Probably leaning towards what our needs are, pushing towards the best available player. And just like that, people, we eliminate Cody Ford. He is off the board. Brian Burns is off the board. And that brings me to one simple person that the Detroit Lions are going to select, and that is one TJ Hockenson, tight end out of Iowa. Now, you may say, Luke, but where did somebody take him before us? Well, I looked at the top 3 needs for all the teams ahead of us, and none of them top 3 needs are tight end. That is the confidence level that they have. But in the event that is the case, you can expect to see the Lions actively, aggressively go after a trade, so that way he can go and get more picks so he can take players to fill the need. But as it stands right now, all the evidence points towards what? Tight end. There's even been video of Matt Patricia talking about the tight end position and what he loves about it and the versatility of what he looks for in the player. They go into a total of 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 videos between him and Matt Patricia talking in great detail and what they want out of a tight end. They even talk about what Jesse James brings to the table. They talk about a 3 tight end set. And when I go through the board, it boils down to, based on conference in this, is TJ Hockenson will be the pick. And that is my conclusion of this. Now, here's what I want to do really quick, because today a trade happened between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Seattle Seahawks, in which the Seattle Seahawks gave up a first, a second, and then they swapped thirds with Kansas City in exchange for Frank Clark. And if the Lions are going to swap out that 8th pick, and the table has been set by some of these trades that we have seen, our 8th pick is going to be special. And as Sag Nasty say, I think that we're staying at 8, because I believe that TJ Hockenson will fall to him, and I believe that TJ Hockenson will be our pick, people. I am doing what is called my final pick. I'm locking it in. I'm putting it on the board right now. My final belief is we will be selecting tight end TJ Hockenson based on all the evidence that I have gathered. and come to the conclusion based on what they have said. Now we have Bob Money in here. What up, though, Bob Money? Now, yeah, Risky, do that for me. Risky, do the math for me so I can see it. I want to see what the numbers is because I can't do it right now. But I just want to know because then there's another clue that lets me know that his trade partner is very simple. They asked him a question about, why are you so adamant about trading up or trading down and stuff like that? And he says, the teams between 13 and 15. Why would you start at 13 and 15, people? Well, because 13 has a former New England Patriots head coordinator, now the head coach. Oh, that's interesting. And I've always said that if they're going to do a trade, the two possible teams that jump out to me the most are the Cincinnati Bengals and the Miami Dolphins. So I'm just going to go out there and tell you, people, do not be upset. Prepare yourself. Grab yourself a drink, okay? Because they are going to take a tight end with the 8th pick. They have no desires to move, and you heard it himself. I need a tight end who can block because we're going to be sending the running back out the backfield. These are things that they did not ask him about, but he was more than willing to volunteer the information. And Bob Money, appreciate it. Good luck to you guys as well this season. I see he got the 49er logo on his name, so I respect that. But I'm telling you, it's going to be TJ Hockenson. Do not get upset. The only other way it's not Hockenson is if for some strange reason, because I have a hard time believing that with the way this draft is set up, that Jacksonville will forego taking an offensive lineman or an edge rusher and say, I'm going to take the tight end. I just don't see it. Now, Troxel Sports Talk says, Luke, would there be any possibility that someone needy of a tight end jumps us to take Hockenson? No, because if they stay fast, they still going to have their pick from Noah Fant, Irv Smith, and maybe like 2 other people, like the guy out of what's his name? Jay Sternberger. So they're going to have their pick of the litter. Now, Risky has did the math for me. I appreciate that, Risky. Our 8th pick is a 1,400 point total value. 146 equals 33. So basically, it'd have been 143. Seahawks get the 21st pick. So 14, and right there, it says Seahawks gave us their 2 firsts, and we give them our first and take their 5th. So technically, if we wanted to trade with Seattle, we would be able to make a trade with Seattle based on the math, because I believe and trust Risky Sports Talk, Risky Football Talk, math, because we've went over this many times before in terms of this draft chart, and it makes sense. But what's even more interesting is Bob Quinn talks about using that draft chart and trying to get close to it as possible to try to get that number down. Now, Phantom Alpha says Gary has a torn labrum and he is going in the top 15. I would not touch Rashawn Gary just because, in my opinion, Rashawn Gary is not someone that I would personally want on our team. But given the evidence that they never talked about DN, and in fact, whenever they talked about the defense, they have always repeatedly said over and over and over again that they love what they have on defense and the strides that they took. And that's how they do it. So tell me right now, people, would you be upset if TJ Hockenson is the pick? Would you be mad, or is it somebody else that you want? But keep in mind that the evidence suggests that you are not going to get a cornerback at 8. Okay. Now, here's the thing. When the draft comes, I am going to be paying close attention to see if he did his best smoke screen out there. Now, Andrew Merklin says, yes, he would be upset. But keep in mind, Andrew, he has made it clear that he is looking for a tight end that can play in all facets, that can be a pass blocker, a run blocker, and run routes and catch the ball. You're not going to tell me that Jesse James does that. So, the Ghost Gunner says no. Risky says, I love TJ Hockenson. Ghost Gunner says he'd be perfect for us. Not upset, but really wanting TJ as a month ago, but his blocking skill, I'll take it. I mean, that's what they want. That's all they want. They literally just want to have somebody who can make it hard on the defense that creates a matchup nightmare. You don't know if he's standing in the block. You don't know if he's running the route. And I'm telling you, when go and look at any video that's got Bob Quinn in there, you will not hear him talk about the defense. Now, Andrew Merklin says, not if the best player available is there. The best player available for him, I think, would have to be like a Josh Allen or a Quentin Williams. And again, he said that he looks at the top 3 needs for the teams ahead of them to make a decision about who's going to fall to him. I looked at the top 3 needs for all those teams ahead of us, minus the Arizona Cardinals, and I got to be honest, that there are a lot of players that you like, the Quentin Williams, the Josh Allen. I don't see them sliding to us. I just don't. And Phantom Alpha says, preach it, brother. You and me, the only ones talking about TJ. I mean, that's what it's been, people. So when I go through, and I would be more than happy to give you anything that you want to see it, but I'm telling you, they are not going to do it. They are not going to take a guy to force it. In fact, there was a question in his evaluation for the Detroit Lions season, we're asking him, with the 10th pick, do you feel a need to force the board? And he says, no, there's no need to force it because we're going to have our pick of the litter and our options there based on the teams ahead of us, top 3 needs. None of those teams ahead of us, top 3 needs, are tight end. So I'm just saying, people, talk to me. Tell me if there's something you want to do different. Bob Money says TJ is a better fit. Iowa right now are making really good tight ends at the moment, like George Kittle. With Bob Money, let me just tell you this. It's not just people like that. Go all the way back. One of the top tight ends that was in the league a few years ago for one of the top quarterbacks, which was Peyton Manning, was who? Dallas Clark. And what school did he go to? Iowa. Here's another thing I noticed in terms of a pattern, people. I noticed that in that pattern that not only did the Lions select players who had won awards for being the best at their position, they select them from the best conference. So we can eliminate a lot of people based off of the conference and based off the fact that they don't have versatility to be on the field all 3 downs. Now, there's one more little piece that I worked on and I, wanted to share it with you guys because I think that it will help put my logic in perspective on what I've heard and why, if this is a smokescreen, I would be shocked. Okay. Now I know many of y'all know that my first option was to do what? Trade down. I really believe that we should have traded down and if we can get more picks, and I'll live with the consequences after that. But I want to show y'all this one little piece right here. And the reason I want to show y'all this is because I think that it's important for y'all to see it. So as you know, I have put out the list of draft prospects, okay, that the Lions looked at. And we're going to take a quick, swift look at it right now. If this is too small, people, let me know, okay? Let me know. All right. And you know what? I'm loving Bob Money even more, man. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Bob Money says, Phantom, you're welcome. I hate the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears, and I can't stand. Yes, the word was stand them Vikings either. Man, let me get that man some love over here because that's what I'm talking about, man. I'm always interested in having an ally. But if this is too small, people, let me know. I want you to see what I did. I have been stalking my butt off, literally just stalking and keeping track of who's done. As you can see here, I have quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. If it's in gray, it's because I did a video on it. We all know I did a video on the DN/outside linebackers, but let me do my best to make this a little bit bigger. All right. So let me get this together, people, so we can see this. Now, as we know, in terms of quarterbacks, they looked at Dwayne Haskins, talked to him at the combine. he's not going to be an option for us. Tyree Jackson, at best, is going to be a later round option, but I'm not buying it. Kyler Murray was a smokescreen. Tyler Wiggers from Eastern Michigan is another late round draft pick. Gardner Minshew is another mid-round draft pick. Drew Lock is a smokescreen. Will Greer is another mid-round draft pick, second to third. But then you start to look into the terms of the running backs, and these are very telling, people. Very telling. So they want too small, so let me make it bigger then. I'll make it bigger. All right. Is this any better for those people who are saying too small? This should be much bigger now. All right. All right. Is that bigger right there? Because if I can see that, and I'm looking at it. Literally, I tested it by looking at it on a cell phone to see if I can see it on a cell phone. So I can see it. All right. All right. Now, here we go. These quarterbacks right here, you bringing in Drew Lock and Will Greer for your 30 visits. Come on now. They're not taking that guy in the 8th pick. There's no evidence to suggest that they're taking it. But look at the running backs on this list. I mean, if you look at them, and Berkeley is on the list because he is listed as a running back, but when they brought him in, they tried him out at wide receiver. Higdon is on the list, again, because he's a downhill north and south runner who can make one cut and get gone. Darnell Hollins is on the list because he do what? Downhill, one cut, get gone. LJ Scott brings that power back to you. Lexington Thomas is the most intriguing one because he reminds me so much of Kareem Hunt that it's not even funny. But as you can see here, they're not looking at a lot of running backs, you know what I'm saying, in terms of visits. All right. At the receiver position, I was very impressed with the receivers they were looking at because all the receivers, except for like 2, were at least 6'3" or taller. They're looking for red zone threats, and guys who are in that 2nd to 4th round range and as low as this. Now, I know they brought in John Irsay from Hawaii for the 30 visits, and I know that they love David Seals, but when you go through, and I noticed this pattern. Look at the schools and think about the conferences, okay? Think about the conferences and where they draft them at. He drafted those smaller school guys in the 3rd to 4th round, okay? And one of the things that I immediately noticed was all the schools that he visited, okay? 1 second, people, because my son is pulling on my chair, and he insists on trying to see what's going on over here. I'm going to have him being an NFL coach before it's all said and done. Trust me. All right. Now, if you just look at the schools, they go to Kennesaw State. They see a running back over here, Darnell Hollins. They come look at a receiver. They go to Buffalo. They look at a bunch of people at Buffalo, but then you don't talk to the one person there, which is Khalil Hodge. Stop it. Not buying it. Look at the tight ends they visit with, people. Okay. Jay Sternberger out of Texas A&M, Caden Smith out of Stanford, Earl Smith out of Alabama, Drew Sample out of Washington, Isaac Nada out of Georgia, Dawson Knox out of Ole Miss, Zach Gentry out of Michigan, Noah Fent and TJ Hawkinson out of Iowa. You know what I find interesting about this list, people? Look at the schools. Just look at the schools. They're Big Ten SEC, with a few sprinkled in other conferences. But overall, they're still sticking to the formula of Big Ten and SEC for the earlier rounds. Most of these people that they're looking at are going to be first-round talent. But the thing that I want to show you that lets you know that their interest in finding an offensive line in the later rounds come here. Look at this list, people. How many of these people going in the first round outside Johan Williams? Take a long look at it. Talk to me now, because I am looking at the chat. How many people in this list, okay? How many people in this list is going to be a first-round talent? That's the question, people. Because when I look at it, it's exactly what he said it is. There's depth in the middle round for offensive line. There's really good depth there. And how do we know? He's looking at people at where? Wayne State, Morgan State, Charlotte. I mean, come on. Central Missouri. Where? Like, come on, look at this. He is literally telling you what he's doing. Okay? He is telling you outside Johan Williams, okay? The rest of these people are later round draft picks, possibly second, but more like third to on out. If that's not enough telling to show you the approach that he's taking, let's look at the safeties. How many of these safeties are first round talent? Okay, Nasser, Jonathan, maybe even Taylor Rapp. So 3 of them, right? But that's if they trade down. You see what I'm saying? That's if they trade down. If they trade down, they know that they have the pick of the litter. Okay? And they know that on top of that, that once they trade down, they can adjust their draft board accordingly. So if they get a trade that's out of this world, they know that they don't have anything to worry about. Okay? But if you still don't want to believe what I'm saying, because you just don't like me, which I'm cool with, look at the cornerbacks, people. Let's look at the cornerbacks. Let's count how many of these cornerbacks are first round talent. Okay. All right. We got maybe Amani Warrade's a first round talent. Joanne Williams, maybe Byron Murphy. That's what, 3. You might even want to say possibly David Long, but I'm not buying it. Look at these names for cornerbacks, people. Look at the schools. Let's start off the first one. Blessings Austin from Rutgers. Really, people? Really? This what we doing? Let's be honest about this. If Blessings is from Rutgers, Derrick Beatty is from Kentucky, Blaze Brown from Troy, Sean Buttons from Central Michigan, you think they taking any of these people in the first? No. They have literally dug their feet in on looking at second to fourth round talent at cornerback. That's where they're going to get our cornerbacks from, unless we trade down and then everything opens up. But you're not taking Tay Hayes from Appalachian State in the first. You're not taking Isaac Wharton in the first. Okay, this is not what they're doing. I spend a lot of time to get this information. I'm telling you, it's just not there. Even when you look at the linebackers, people, let's look at the linebackers for a moment. We got Josh Allen up there. They visit with a whole lot, okay? They just want to do their homework in case he do slide. But we already eliminated Devin Bush because they've made it very clear. But Malik Carney, this is probably going to be a second to third round pick. Blake Cashman, that's going to probably be a third to fourth round pick. Junior McMullins out of Ohio is probably going to be a third to fourth round pick. Anthony Pittman is probably going to be a 5th to 7th round pick. Sonya Tatakayaki, whatever, I'm probably saying his name wrong. He's probably going to be somewhere between the 2nd to 4th round pick. Mac Wilson is a 2nd round pick. Devin White's a first. Okay, cool. But if we go down this list, there's not a lot of first round people they're looking at these positions. And yes, you would notice, Morgan Trice, that there is no Greedy Williams. No, they're not talking to a person who can't tackle. They can't. And then look at this. Tavon Coney, who I did film study on, he's going to probably be a 3rd round pick. Okay? Kyle Roshar from Eastern Michigan is probably going to be a 5th round pick. Darius Harris out of Middle Tennessee is probably going to be a 5th round pick. They're looking at the mid-draft, the mid-rounds to build this team. The evidence is in our face. Look at the D tackles, people. Hold on. Let's talk about the D tackles. Look at the D tackles. All right? Reggie Howard. You think he going in the 1st or 2nd round? Nope. Ed Oliver, 1st round talent? Sure. Quentin Williams, 1st round talent? Sure. But you think Renal Warner is going in the 1st round? Nope. PJ Johnson? Nope. These are mid-round picks. 3rd round picks, I guarantee it. How do I know that? Because he loves what his defense did. And when we go through and we take a look at the DN/edge rushers, it's clear to me that, they are clear about who it is. Nick Bosa, I mean, they're just doing homework. How I know that? They only met with him at the combine. LJ Collier from TCU, they had private workouts and brought them in for visits. Max Crosby, they met with him at the local pro day. Rashawn Gary, they met with him at the local pro day. But look where you're going to draft these people at. He could be a first-round pick. He could be a first-round pick, but he's going to probably be a top first-round pick. He could slip to the later rounds, but he's a late first. He's definitely going to be a 4th to 5th round pick. I don't even think he should be taken until at least the 3rd, in my opinion. But hey, that's just me. But again, he could be a first-round pick. But like Charles, aka Chuck Harris from Buffalo. Look at this. You went to Buffalo and talked to everybody but Khalil Hodge. Come on now, people. I'm not stupid. I'm not. You know, this is what they're looking at. When we go through, we look at from Texas. He's not a first round pick. I can eliminate names based on it. He has a heart condition, and that same heart condition that he had dropped Maurice Hurst out of the 1st round. So I expect Montez Sweat to take a minute to get drafted because he's going to be sweating, waiting for somebody to call his name. But people like Kinsley Keke, Byron Burns, Chase Winovich, these are not people that you're taking in with that 8th pick. They're pushing them down the road. So I just wanted to bring this information to you so you can physically see the patterns, the trends, and the things that I'm seeing. I am locking in my pick. I'm going to ask my compadres tonight when we go live, who would they take with that pick and lock it in. I have TJ Hockenson locked in for the 8th pick, selected overall. And if we trade down, I got to believe that they're going to go after a versatile player that can play all 3 downs, because who said it? Bob Quinn said it. They've been saying it for the longest. So I think that if they trade down, the 2 suspects that I have is safety, Jonathan Abrams, and Jalen Ferguson. I think those are going to be the picks if they trade down. Okay. I'm getting ready to shut this down so I can get ready for tonight's show. Let me know, people, what y'all think. Go in there, hit the like, subscribe, comment, whatever. All the love in the world, man. I appreciate y'all rocking with me. And I just wanted to just give you the information. Now, 4Bet Frank says that was an excellent breakdown. I hope we get Allen or Williams, but realistically at 8, TJ is perfect. I appreciate that, man, but I think that's exactly what's going to happen. And risky, yes, I did say Abrams if they trade down. Based on the formula that they speak of, the versatility, high football IQ, competitiveness, know how to tackle, ball skills, he has those things if we trade down. Ferris Elka said, what up, though? Yo, Luke, it would dope to have a roundtable live stream during the draft. Raheem X, we are going to be live for the draft. It's going to be the actual roundtable, 4 members plus 2 others. It's going to be Detroit's own Big Will, and Everything King will be joining us on our live show. Okay. So that's on Thursday. I'm going to drop the hype video in 1 minute, which was produced by who? MicroMike. Please go over to MicroMike. He is almost at 100 people. Please go over to MicroMike and subscribe. We're trying to get him over 100. Please show our fellow Detroit Sports Alliance member some love and get him over that 100. Hit those like buttons. Let's get these likes up. So we can be able to get this more exposure so people can see it. Because according to Bob Quinn, he looks at all media sources and all mock drafts. And if our video is popping up when they do their research, it's a good thing for them to kind of hear some different stuff. The different links are in the description already. And that's going to be it for now until we do the round table, which will be on the Noble Sports Entertainment channel. Please tune into that because we got ourselves a real serious show, because the very next show that we do will be the live draft. So as always, people, I leave you with this great piece of advice. Don't be no chump. Please do your research.